The 9,586th meeting of the Security Council is called to order.
Mr. President, it has taken 6 months, over 100,000 Palestinians killed and maimed, 2 million displaced, and famine for this Council to finally demand an immediate ceasefire. A vote for humanity to prevail, for life to prevail. The Palestinians in Gaza pleaded and appealed, shouted, cried, cursed, prayed, defied the odds to survive time and time again, and yet continue to face death, destruction and displacement, deprivation and disease, and an occupation made famine. They are bombed, besieged, buried under the rubble of the houses they had built. They are killed in their homes, in the streets, in hospitals, in ambulances, in UN shelters, and even in tents. Their ordeal must come to an end and must come to an immediate end now.
I shall put the draft resolution to the vote now. Will those in favor of the draft resolution contained in document S/2024/254 please raise their hand? Those against? Abstention? The result of the voting is as follows: 14 votes in favor, 0 vote against, 1 abstention. The draft resolution has been adopted as Resolution 2728, 2024.
The Israeli military has ended its 2-week siege of Al-Shifa's hospital, leaving Gaza's largest medical complex in ruins. The World Health Organization says at least 21 patients died since the siege began. Authorities in Gaza said the Israeli military killed more than 400 Palestinians, including medical workers and children, and destroyed over 1,000 homes around the hospital. Israel accused Hamas of using the hospital for military purposes. On Sunday, an Israeli airstrike hit a tent encampment outside of Al-Aqsa Martyrs Hospital in Deir al-Balah. The attack killed 4 people and injured 17 others, including 7 journalists. The BBC reports the tent closest to the explosion belonged to the Turkish news agency Anadolu. The Palestinian photographer Ali Hamad described the attack.
They hit the tent without any warning. We were staying in the tent as a group of journalists, peacefully, with no terrorist among us. We were preparing our cameras, and all of a sudden, the tent was hit. Everything went dark with debris and rocks flying above our heads, and there were flames.
In other news from Gaza, the Israeli newspaper Haaretz reports the Israeli military has created so-called kill zones inside Gaza, where Israeli troops kill anyone who crosses into the area. One reserve officer told the paper, quote, "As soon as people enter it, mainly adult males, orders are to shoot and kill, even if that person is unarmed," unquote. The report comes days after Al Jazeera aired footage of 4 unarmed Palestinian men being killed as they walked along the ruins near Khan Yunis. In an interview with Haaretz, one Israeli officer acknowledged the 4 men were killed even though they, quote, "didn't endanger our forces," unquote. The Washington Post is reporting the Biden administration has recently authorized the transfer of billions of dollars in bombs and fighter jets to Israel. The arms package include more than 1,800 Mk-84 2,000-pound bombs, which can be used to level entire city blocks. The U.S. is also sending 500 Mk-82 500-pound bombs and 25 F-35 fighter jets. On Sunday, tens of thousands rallied across Israel, calling for the removal of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in the largest protest since the October 7th attacks. In Jerusalem, police fired skunk spray at demonstrators blocking a major highway. The protesters called for a ceasefire and the release of all hostages. This is Zahira Shahamor, whose elderly uncle has been held in Gaza for nearly 6 months.
Today we declared that Benjamin Netanyahu, Prime Minister Netanyahu, is the obstacle between us and getting our hostages back. And we will relentlessly fight, legally of course, to have him removed from power and get someone else that can do the job and worthy of the situation that can bring our beloved ones back. Until then, Benjamin Netanyahu is the main obstacle.
Protests were held across the globe over the weekend, including in London, where as many as 200,000 people took to the streets. Here in New York City, organizers say 30,000 people came out for a massive Land Day protest. Elsewhere, students at Smith College in Massachusetts have entered their 6th day occupying an administrative building. The students are calling on the school to divest from weapons manufacturers. The protest is being led by the Smith chapter of Students for Justice in Palestine. Pope Francis marked Easter Sunday by reiterating his plea for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza.
I appeal once again that access to humanitarian aid be ensured to Gaza and call once more for the prompt release of the hostages seized on last October 7th and for an immediate ceasefire in the Strip.
While the Pope called for peace, a Republican Congress member has publicly suggested Gaza should be bombed, quote, like Nagasaki and Hiroshima. Michigan Congressmember Tim Walberg made the comment during a recent town hall.
We shouldn't be spending a dime on humanitarian aid. It should be like Nagasaki and Hiroshima. Get it over quick.
After facing widespread criticism for calling for the atomic bombing of Gaza, Congressmember Tim Walberg, who's a former pastor, issued a statement claiming he was not advocating for the use of nuclear weapons in Gaza. In Lebanon, 3 UN military observers and a Lebanese translator were injured Saturday in an explosion near the border with Israel. Security sources in Lebanon told Reuters Israel was behind the attack, but Israel denied the claim. Meanwhile, Israel has assassinated a Hezbollah commander named Ismail al-Zin in a targeted drone strike in southern Lebanon.